good to see all of you on this beautiful Wednesday. There are 90 days left in 2025. That is the fun fact that I want to share with everyone. 90 days, I believe, are left in 2025. And I don't know about you, but 2025 has been quite the year. Um, Lots of changes, lots of growth. Before I get into my conversation, I'm curious to hear from you. How has your 2025 been so far? How has 2025 been for you so far? 2025 has been a year to be stretched, a year of growth, a year of enlightenment, I guess I would say. Um, I think about a year ago today, being getting COVID, and then it turned into long COVID. I took my COVID test on. I think I took that COVID test on October 1st of 2024, and the COVID would not go away. It would not go away, and so just thinking about how life shifts and how life changes and how um, setbacks happen, and we have choices when the setbacks happen, and so just always continuously thinking about how life shifts, how life grows, and how life changes. Um, it is a beautiful day where I am, and I hope that your morning has started out beautiful as well. I just want to take a few minutes just to make sure that I am live in the best spaces. So right now we looks like we're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. If you're watching this replay, I just want to say thank you all for watching the replay. Thank you all for being present for the conversation. And if you gotta go, totally understand. Um, Again, it's always great to be able to start the morning with a fresh thought. I want to encourage everyone to get some sleep. I have not been getting good sleep at all. And sometimes your lack of sleep can cause dis-ease, discomfort, and disagreements. And so, good morning, Abia. What happens when your lack of sleep gets in the way of true community and true humanity? That is where I'm sitting this morning. And it took me to a bell hooks quote. So, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you'll be able to see this quote that I want to share with everyone. It's a pretty long bell hooks quote. Of course, it's from the book All About Love. So I'm going to go ahead again. If you are on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, you'll see it. I will try to type it in so that y'all can see it too. But Bell Hooks says to us in All About Love, to know compassion fully is to gauge in a process of forgiveness and recognition that enables us to release all the baggage we carry that serves as a barrier to healing. Compassion opens the way for individuals to feel empathy for others without judgment. Judging others increases our alienation. When we judge, we are less able to forgive. The absence of forgiveness keeps us mirrored in shame. Often our spirits have been broken again and again through rituals of disregard in which we share shames by others or shames ourselves. Shame breaks and weakens us and keeps us from the wholeness healing offers. And when we practice forgiveness, we let go of shame. Embedded in our shame is a sense of being unworthy. It separates. Compassion and forgiveness reconnects us. And I believe in the same section of that book, Bell Hooks also shares how forgiveness and compassion are interlinked. How can I be in touch with someone else's humanity to believe in their capacity to be changed and transformed? So Bell Hooks' whole pedagogy was, oh my gosh, absolutely amazing. And she invites us to always be in radical practice and in radical, like, what if the work was love? And what if love was centered on care, repair, compassion, and forgiveness? Um, if you go on Goodreads, if you put in All About Love, you can find so many quotes, but I'm always going to recommend folks to read the book, grab the ebook, listen to the audio book because it's absolutely beautiful. And so for me, like when I don't have enough sleep, I definitely am more reactive. And so what happens when we slow ourselves down and forgive ourselves for the things that happen when we're not asleep, where we don't get enough rest. Um, but I want to just give you a couple points from that quote from Bell Hooks. Compassion is active and not passive. And compassion is a word that is used and not used. Um, and it's definitely something worth considering, right? So when Bell Hook talks about compassion, she's not describing like something soft. She's naming this process, this practice, right? So when Bell Hooks talks about compassion, she's naming it as forgiveness, recognition, and release. Forgiveness is not releasing it or excusing harm. It means that you don't have to carry the weight of anything that is trying to break you down. And it's about laying down our baggage that keeps us from wholeness. So forgiveness is never about like anything else. It is just a practice. And compassion then becomes courage in action. And it tells us and informs us that we cannot let shame or judgment define our worth because shame keeps us trapped. So one of the things that Bell Hooks says is she also connects to shame. And shame is something that is a teacher, but as she said, shame can break and weaken us and it keeps us away from the wholeness that healing offers. So shame is that crippling effect that can actually allow you to not see yourself. And it can tell you that your own shame can give you stories that you project on others. Your shame can give you stories that you project onto other people. In the world we live in today, we see a lot of shame projection. We see a lot of wounded selves showing up. And so your shame can actually subconsciously be telling you you're not enough, you're unworthy, and you're broken. But Bell Hooks tells us that shame is not truth, it's a ritual we've inherited. And sometimes it can come from other person's words or projections or the internalized voice. And so when you meet yourself and your shame with compassion, the goal is to tell yourself that I see myself in pain and I refuse to shame myself for it. And or I see you in pain and I refuse to shame you for it. Um, and when we extend compassion to ourselves, we actually can begin the process of navigating our own shame. Um, and then we get that third part that Bell Hooks gets to, and this is from All About Love, where she ends the teaching from that quote that I shared that says, "Compassion and forgiveness reconnects us." Um, and I want to just say something. No one has to forgive you. No one has to reconnect. If you feel if you're harmed, you're harmed. If you don't want to, you don't have to, right? Like that's the other thing about choice. You are in choice of practicing forgiveness. You are in choice of practicing compassion. You are in choice of practicing love. It is up to you to define what that means for you. I never want to tell somebody what something means. Oh, love means this. Oh, love means that. Oh, this is how you love. I cannot tell you what love is for you. You have to define things. People like Bell Hooks gave us frameworks and ideas. I say things that give ideas, but you have to actually take that for yourself and make it work for you. No one can give you a definition and then it is what it is. And I think that's one of the things that is happening in the world today is that people are giving us definitions. And I've even given definitions and we're glued to the meaning of it. And yet we don't define things for ourselves. That's why I like the study of etymology, the study of words, because when you break words down, that you can actually see if it makes sense for you to use it. And as someone who comes from the legacy of enslavement, I don't necessarily understand the English language. It's not my first language. My first language is actually Ebonics. But when you're forced to assimilate, you're forced to use proper English. And so I need you all to like hear what people say, hear what I say. I'm not going to speak for anybody else. And just make it work for you if it works. If not, take what works and throw away the rest. Um, but when Bell Hooks says compassion and forgiveness reconnects us, I think she's telling us that it reconnects us to our humanity, which is our wholeness and our dignity and our truth. It reconnects us to others because without judgment, we can finally meet each other in that humanity. And it reconnects us to community, right? So again, to ourselves, to our relationships, and to our community, because compassion can open up the possibility of belonging even when across difference. So when we forgive, we're not saying what happened was okay. Okay. When we forgive, we're not saying what happened is okay. We are saying that I'm going to choose connection over alienation, and I'm going to choose to step out the cycle of shame and back into love. And for me, that's the work of liberation. It might not be for you. Remember, I'm always going to say, what works for me does not work for everybody. And I think that's why I get so excited about the collective collapse. I believe that as a collective, the system is not only collapsing, but the collective is collapsing because we're waking up to the truth that we all have an individual truth, that we all have our own values. There's misalignment in those values, and we're now being asked to move into a space because we're going to need each other. We're being asked to move into the space of how can we have this value misalignment and reconnect, right? And choose connection over alienation. Um, and because if the system is collapsing, the collective is collapsing, and that's why we see the infighting, and that's why we see the right versus left more aggressively. I mean, that's just what I believe. You have your own beliefs. Again, take what works and throw away the rest. So I have a couple of things I want you to sit with today. Just think about this. Number one is, where in your life is shame keeping you from wholeness? Where in your life is shame keeping you from wholeness? Two, where could compassion for yourself or others open a new path? Three, what would it look like to not erase a wound, but to release a hold that it has on you? I like that one. What does it look like to forgive and not erase the wound, but release the hold it has on you? Because our wounds have holds on us, whether we believe it or not. And then the third piece I want to share is the final piece is just kind of like Bell Hooks is always reminding us is that compassion is how we return to each other, and it's how we return to love. And that's in the book All About Love. And so thank you for sitting with me this morning. I hope that this is helpful in you carrying compassion for yourself, because the more compassion you can give yourself, the more empathy and self connection you can give yourself, the more empathy and self connection you can give to others, because you really can't give what you don't have. And this is not about like being one way, but it is just grounded in the practice of forgiveness and reconnection, especially as we move into fall. And so I appreciate you all for being here with me. Would love, yes, please read your copy, share any insights with us, Abia. I love hearing your reflections and your voice. I also think I'm going to read it again for myself. I think now is a good time for the collective to sit with the words of the ancestors, because the reality is I have nothing new to say. Everything that I have to say in this moment is rooted in Heal Your Way Forward in the words of the ancestors until the next iteration of the work. And so thank you all for hanging out with me on this live. Whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, I appreciate the time you took to watch it. Thanks for being a part of the replay fam. And until I see you all again, keep living into your work.